In the middle of a crisis, planned giving doesn't naturally come up in a fundraiser's mind to start thinking about, but it should. In today's podcast, Richard and I talk with Veritus Group's Director of Planned Giving Services, Bob Shafis. He will help us understand why in a crisis, solid planned giving strategies can help your organization now and well into the future.
Welcome to the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritus Group, featuring Richard Perry and Jeff Schreifels. Twice a month, we bring you the latest and best thinking about major gift fundraising, so you can develop authentic relationships with your major donors. Here are your hosts, Richard and Jeff.
Welcome to our podcast today. I have Richard Perry with me, and Richard, we have with us today our Director of Planned Giving Services, Bob Shafis, because we felt no one is talking about planned giving in the midst of this crisis we're all in.
I know. We've heard absolutely nothing about it. In fact, I myself was thinking, okay, now, you know what, planned giving, that's kind of a future thing. I mean, it's, so I don't know why we'd be talking about that. And then Bob's kind of in the background there screaming at us saying, hang on a second, don't forget about planned giving.
Yeah.
So we said, well, let's get him on and we'll talk to him about it and see what we do in terms of planned giving in this crisis. So Bob, thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be here. These are interesting days. We've all been around long enough to have experienced 2 or 3 stock market crashes, the Great Recession, 9/11. But one of the things that is a common element with each of those is that planned giving, as one of the key forms of fundraising, has been important to help organizations get through those times and to plan even better for the future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Bob, help us out here. Like when you're in a crisis like this, like we're in today, it's like I said earlier, most people are not thinking about planned giving. So why should we think about it, and what should people do now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's there's 2 or 3 answers to that. One doesn't really help the money in the door right now, which is, and I alluded to this a moment ago, organizations that have done planned giving in the past are well positioned to get through a crisis like this successfully. Part of the reason is that they have invested in planned giving, and so planned giving has helped them build either reserves or an endowment or something along those lines that keeps money coming into the organization. The stock market may have gone down, but there's still money coming from investments and funds like that. The other piece is that planned giving donors don't run out to their attorney every time there's a blip in the stock market. They don't change their estate plans and their wills every time there's an economic issue. And so one of the things that's important to know is that as you continue to maintain relationships with your donors, they're going to continue to support your organization through the planned gifts that they've already created. Now, the other part of the answer to that is, let's talk a little bit as we go forward here about using some planned giving techniques to help get money in the door today. Because if you're talking to your donors about their tax deductions, the availability of different types of planned giving and tax-wise techniques to create gifts that will come in the door today, that's going to help you maintain a good cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be very valuable. I mean, in fact, that's probably what people are saying to themselves right now. Okay, now I'm starting to see how this applies to me right now in these times. So give us those ideas.
Well, let's talk first a little bit about how you're communicating planned giving concepts to your donor base. You don't want to run out and send out an email that says, "Oh my God, this is terrible. Remember us in your wills right now." I've heard that some organizations have actually done something like that in the past couple of weeks. And I think that one of the things that's important is to just continue to talk in a very positive nature and in an almost passive nature about the importance of planned giving to your organization. A lot of your donors are coming to your website right now.
Right.
And if you have available in a very apparent way information about plan giving, about estate planning, and all those type of things, people will come to your website, and that's what you want them to see. Another thing that I think you want them to see are good, very positive donor stories about plan giving. What stories can you put up on your website to talk about a donor who has successfully done a planned gift and how happy they are with it? Or a story about somebody who had created a planned gift and made a very substantial gift to the organization after they passed away and the effect that had on the organization. The other thing on the website is to have some links to a very simple form of bequest, for example, something that somebody can print out and take to their attorney if they're actually going forward and doing some estate planning. So if you have those things on your website right now, it's a very positive way of communicating to your donors what type of planned gift opportunities there are.
So those are passive ways that you can approach it right now that are acceptable in this time. What do you do with your current caseload, your portfolio right now?
Well, I think that one of the things that we don't want to do is stop asking people to make a gift.
No, we don't.
I think you can do it in a very You can do it in a very positive way. There's the old Michael Jordan quote: "You will miss 100% of the shots you don't take."
Right.
And so we need to make sure that you continue to maintain relationships that lead to solicitations for your donors. Now, how that happens, I think, is one of the things that's different in this particular environment, because I think if you have a list of names that you're working with on planned giving, one of the things you should probably be doing right now is looking at those names and trying to figure out how you're going to maintain contact with them. And in what ways? Which of the people on your list have computers, and you know that you can maintain perhaps a video relationship with them?
Mm-hmm.
Which of them are names that you can maintain a telephone relationship with? How do you make sure that you know which ones you're going to contact and how you're going to contact?
Well, tell us, what would you say to these donors? So you're calling them. What are you talking to them about? What does it sound like?
The first thing I would say is, hey, I just wanted to call you and check in with you.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
At this time, this is a really difficult time for a lot of people. You and I have known each other for a long time. I just wanted to call and check and see how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the first thing I'd say. And maybe that would be the entire content of the first call.
Yeah.
And then a follow-up call in a few days or in a week or so would be, I really want to maintain a relationship between you and me and this charity. And so let's talk about some ways that we can do that, because if you are a person with a good knowledge base in computers, let's talk about how I can send you invitations to video links, and that we can not only talk face to face, but I can share some videos, some other things that are specific to this institution, so I can continue to keep you looped in to the organization. If the person is somebody you can only talk to on the phone, and you probably can't do those type of things, at least you can develop a strategy that determines who is going to call this person, when they're going to call the person. And with all of these people, let's not forget that we probably need to ask them to make a commitment to the organization.
Right.
And how that happens is going to differ depending on the contact plans. If you can do it via a video link, great. That's going to be a much more personal way than simply doing it on a phone call or a conference call.
Yeah.
And I mentioned conference call because you can link in other individuals into these calls. So if you were going to ask this person for a significant planned gift commitment, the fundraiser and possibly somebody else from the organization, the CEO, the board chair, whoever that person might be.
Well, it could be someone from program. It could be someone from program in a program that they're interested in too.
Mm.
Exactly. Because I worked some places where there were a lot of scientists working, and those were the key people to bring in, not the CEO or the board member, but to have one of the scientists on board to talk about the science program that this individual was interested in. And, let's not forget about the people who have already made a plan gift commitment. Mm-hmm. And we need to steward them. And I would do the same type of analysis. Who are the people that we can steward via a video link and keep them really involved in that way? Who are the people who need phone calls? And then what are the other opportunities that we have to maintain those connections? Because one of the things we know is that half the people who have made some type of plan gift commitment may not follow through with them. And one of the things that we need to do is really make sure that that stewardship piece continues on.
So on this point of donor contact, Jeff, you and I, and Bob's heard about this too, but we've experienced over the last 2 to 3 weeks, a great deal of receptivity to on the part of donors, talking to fundraisers, frontline people, MGOs.
Especially now, everyone's at home. Right?
I mean, they're at home and
they're answering their phone. They're very receptive. They're wanting to talk, not just get you off the phone. They really want to have conversations with you at this time.
And there's a story of that 94-year-old woman. I mean, this really struck me. She apparently is someone that has capacity. She was giving $25,000 a year to the organization. And the major gift person talked to her, and she said, "You know what? I am so glad to be talking to you. You're the first person of the organizations I support, the first organization that's actually contacted me. I really appreciate that." And the call went really well. And then the following week, another $25,000 showed up from her. I mean, so the point you're making, Bob, is like, get on the phone, talk to these people.
Get on the phone, talk to them. And I have heard from a number of people that not only are people picking up the phone and talking, if they're not there, they're returning the call.
Exactly.
Now, that's something that a lot of major gift officers and plan gift officers haven't experienced in their career. People who are happily calling them back. And like you said, people are at home. They're looking at things to do, and they want to talk. A lot of people are isolated. If you're looking at your list of donors, who do you know is alone? Mm-hmm. Those are the people that really want to talk to. Those are the people who probably need a call to see how they're doing.
Yeah, right.
So I mentioned earlier using plan gift techniques to get some direct gifts.
Right.
And one of the things that about plan giving that I think not everybody really gets is that a lot of the tax techniques and a lot of the other techniques that are used can really be used to not only create direct gifts, but to create larger gifts than would be otherwise done with simply cash. So let me just talk about 2 or 3 of those ideas briefly, and that'll be part of a greater webinar that we're doing in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But gifts of stock can always have a bigger impact on a donor in terms of their deductions and their tax savings than a simple gift of cash. So one of the things that I say when I've taught or when I've made presentations is if you ask a donor for a significant gift, let's say $10,000, and they whip out their checkbook, one of the things you should probably say is, just a second, before you write that check, let's talk for a second, because if I can show you a way that you can give more to this organization and I can put you in the same economic position, would you consider that?
Yeah.
And then the discussion really needs, And then the discussion really needs to move on to what kind of stocks do you have? Do you have highly appreciated stocks? Would you consider making a gift of some of those instead of simply the cash? I did some calculations last night, actually, on this issue. And let me give you a sense for what I mean. If you write a check for $10,000, it's going to cost you, if you're at the 37% tax rate, it's going to cost you $6,300 to make that $10,000 gift because of the $3,700 in tax savings.
Right.
If you use stock, it has a 20% cost basis. So it costs you 20% of its current value. And you were to sell it today, you'd have to pay a capital gains tax. But if you donate that stock, you will actually be able to make a stock gift of something on the order of $13,400 and be in the same economic position as having made that $10,000 cash gift.
Wow, that's quite a deal.
Yeah.
It is. And I think that most donors are, especially if they have stocks, are savvy enough to realize what that means. And so I think that discussion is a way of not only getting cash in the door right now, getting more in the door right now, and helping your donor realize that it's not going to cost them anymore. Another technique, which some organizations view as a planned gift, some organizations view as a major gift technique, is the gifts from IRAs through the IRA rollover law.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the discussions that I think is really important for a lot of donors right now, is that the IRA is kind of a ready source of major gift funds right now. And a lot of people need to hear what those rules are to see if they qualify to make an IRA gift. And of course, the rules are that the donor has to be 70 and a half or older. They can give up to $100,000 from their IRA. It can only come from an IRA. The distributions, if you were to take a distribution from an IRA without doing this, you'd have to pay taxes on it. But by doing this, IRA rollover directly from the IRA to a charity, you avoid any tax on that distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And it also qualifies for your required minimum distribution. Now, the new tax bill, the new stimulus bill, actually suspends the need for required minimum distributions in the year 2020. But that actually gets into some fairly complicated but very interesting planning opportunities. So if you're the kind of person who has an IRA and are positioned to make this type of gift, this is a great time to talk to your tax advisor about what those options are, because you have some really interesting ways of making significant, in fact, theoretically, more than a $100,000 gift from your IRA right now.
Wow.
And then one more technique that I'll just mention is simply bundling gifts. This is something that's happened for the past year or two under the Tax Act that was passed last year. But because of the standard deduction, which is now, I think, $24,800 for a married couple, if you don't have deductions for state and local taxes, mortgage interest, and charitable deductions that exceeds $24,800, then you don't really get a tax benefit right now from your charitable gift. So a lot of people are taking 2 or 3 years of charitable gifts, and they're all bundling it into 1 year so they can exceed that standard deduction amount and get greater tax deductions and greater tax benefits from their charitable gift. And they simply tell the charity, well, you know what? I'm not giving you 1 year of gifts. I'm giving you 3 years of gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is another way that is really helpful.
Yeah, but let me ask a question on that one, Bob. If they're giving 3 years of gifts, that might be a windfall for the charity or the nonprofit now. But then doesn't that sort of like mortgage the future a little bit? Like, well, okay, then we're out in years 2 and 3.
I think the charity has to plan for that. Mm-hmm. They can segregate the funds in certain ways so that it perhaps releases them over the course of 3 years rather than simply accounts for them all in 1 year. So I think there's some ways around that. People are using donor advised funds a lot to do this as well. And there's the same caveat, which is if somebody puts money into a donor advised fund, which is managed by a community foundation or a financial services firm, there's not a guarantee that your organization is going to get those distributions in the future. So you have to talk to your donor and make sure that they understand that you're counting on these funds and how important they are for your organization.
Well, Bob, all good stuff. Let's move now to talking about, in this time, looking at your current database and looking at potential for planned gifts. Is this a good time for that as well?
Well, I think this is the ideal time for that, because there's a little bit of downtime in a lot of organizations. If we have an opportunity to take a look at your database, I'm seeing some commonalities in the database analyses that I've been doing.
So let's just step back. You've been there's been a number of organizations we've been working with, looking at their database and what their plan giving potential is. We do this assessment that you've been working on, and you've been looking at almost a dozen now of nonprofits. And what are you finding?
Well, we're finding that, first of all, there are varying numbers of existing plan gift donors. Some organizations have just a handful. Some organizations have hundreds.
Yeah.
But I mentioned a few moments ago, I think, that we see data now that shows that something on the order of 50% of people who've indicated that they've left something in their estate plans to an organization fail to go through with it after they pass away.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of an astounding number. If you think if you think you have 100 plan giving donors, and at the end of the day, you only end up with 50 of them having gone through with the gift, well, that's really something. So what this analysis is doing is helping us identify who those people are and building the type of stewardship plans that are going to make sure that they stay connected, and to do everything possible to make sure that they don't change their minds or they don't fail to go through with that type of gift. Then another piece of the data analysis is really looking at the database and trying to figure out how many bequests exist within that database to your organization that you don't know about.
Yeah.
And building the structure and the techniques that are necessary in order to get to those people and get them to either self-identify or for you to proactively go to them and say, hey, have you done something in your estate plan for our organization? And get them to tell you that they've done that. Because you have some really great plan giving potential, especially if you have donors who have given over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Some of the databases I've seen have donors who've been giving for 40 or more years.
Yeah.
And the other key element is that they started 40 years ago, 30 years ago, but they've continued to give over that time period, so that within the past year or two or three, they've continued to make a gift. And one of the things we're looking at is people who've given a large number of gifts, dozens, even hundreds of gifts, are really some of the key plan giving people in your organization, or the people who have given lots of gifts and have a high value of those gifts over the course of time. Those are really the real plan giving potential.
Yeah. So if you're listening and you're really interested in, well, what is my plan giving potential? We really urge you to allow us to actually do this assessment. And it's absolutely free to you. So you can go onto our website, actually, at veritusgroup.com, and you'll see an area where I want to plan giving assessment. Click on that, and we'll get you the information on how to do that. So, a lot of organizations have been taking advantage of it, and we're finding incredible amount of revenue that folks don't even know about.
I know. I've just been astounded by that, Jeff and Bob. It's just like you look at those projections that you're putting out there, and it's like, oh my goodness. So you got this. It's free. There's really no obligation.
And everyone I've looked at thus far has not hundreds of thousands, but millions of dollars that are sitting in that database waiting for somebody to ask them.
Wow.
So Bob, about switching subjects here just a little bit now, because last week or a couple of weeks ago, depending on when this airs, the new CARES Act came out. Yeah. We just talk briefly about, well, what are some of the benefits of that, and what what do people need to know about that as relates current giving?
Well, I think that there are 3 or 4 interesting elements to that. 2 specifically apply to individuals. The one that is getting the most play, I think, is the fact that there is what's called an above-the-line charitable deduction. We mentioned a little earlier the standard deduction. If you don't have charitable and other deductions that exceed $24,800 if you're a married couple, then you don't get to take your charitable deduction. Well, this bill has said that even those who take a standard deduction can deduct up to $300 of their charitable gifts.
Wow!
So that they can get some benefits. It's not a huge amount. However, with your average donor, this is going to be a real benefit, because most people, in excess of 85 to 90% of people, don't get to itemize their deductions anymore because of this standard deduction. So most of your donors, 90% of your donors, are going to benefit by making a charitable gift this year and being able to deduct it next year, even though they don't itemize their deductions.
Right.
Now, the one thing that's interesting is that it has to be cash. Can't be stock, or can't be a planned gift or anything along those lines. So it really does benefit the average donor, the average direct mail donor, the average annual fund donor is going to be able to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
Now, the second individual benefit is that the bill eliminates the limitations on using the charitable deduction for those who do itemize. For gifts of cash, the law up to this point has been that you could only deduct up to 60% of your adjusted gross income. That has been eliminated so that you can deduct up to 100% of your adjusted gross income. So for people who have the type of cash resources, because it has to be cash again, the type of cash resources, and really want to make a difference to an organization, this is going to be a great benefit. And if they give in excess of their adjusted gross income, they can carry that charitable deduction forward and use it in future years.
Yeah.
You have to apply whatever the limitations will be in the future years, but they get to carry that forward for for 5 additional tax years. So this is really going to be a great benefit.
Yeah, that's really something. I mean, that really helps, doesn't it?
It's going to be a great benefit to donors who want to make a real difference, have substantial cash assets, and really want to do something in this time of need.
Yeah.
Now, there were a couple of other benefits for charities, for donors. First of all, they increase the amount that a corporation can deduct from 10% to 25%. That's going to be important to a lot of our organizations that have a significant corporate giving component.
Right.
And there's also additional benefits for gifts of food inventory. Now, that's going to benefit some organizations as well. So finally, there are a lot of interesting benefits for organizations that are treating nonprofits in the same way they're treating other small businesses.
Right. Like loans.
So there are some loans, some grants, some credits, and things like that.
Yeah. So take advantage of those if you haven't yet.
And I think we're going to get into a lot of more detail on this, aren't we, Jeff, in the future? Isn't there like some kind of webinar or something that Bob and you are doing or something?
Yeah. So I want to let everyone know that Bob is actually we're doing a free webinar that's going to get into much more detail on planned gifts in this crisis. That's on April 15th at 1 p.m. Eastern. And so we'll send out information to you, but also come to our website and sign up for that. You can go to our main website and you'll see our COVID-19 resource page. Click on that and the webinar registration will come right up and you'll be able to register and be there with us on April 15th at 1 p.m. And Bob will wax eloquently on how to do planned giving in a crisis. But Bob, thank you so much for being here today and kind of really going over how does plan giving fit into this whole crisis? And
fascinating.
It's absolutely, you've got to do plan giving during this crisis. It's not something you defer or just let go of. So really appreciate you being on and really elaborating on how that will help organizations get through this crisis and any future crisis, So thank you very much.
And one thing, Jeff, I just want to mention, because you didn't mention it, is that the website is veritusgroup.com, veritusgroup.com. And so go to that, and there's a red bar there. You can click on that link and get all the coronavirus resources, but also there's a button on there for this for the webinar offer as well. Yep.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us for the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritus Group. Richard and Jeff also write an ongoing blog that you can subscribe to for free at veritusgroup.com. Please join us again next time.